Welcome everyone to Current Affairs by SIL 360 IAS Academy. In this session, we will be discussing a small part of the Strait of Hormuz or the geographical region related to that, which is the Musandam Peninsula. Okay, so Strait of Hormuz is very important part of your UPSC prelims preparation, especially for this year because of the US-Israel-Iran war and all. So Strait of Hormuz, it connects the Persian Gulf with the Gulf of Oman and further with the Indian Ocean, and a small landform that actually protrudes outwards onto the Strait of Hormuz is actually the Musandam Peninsula, which we'll be discussing in this short session. Okay, so this is the Musandam Peninsula and the general geography. So we discussed a few islands regarding the Persian Gulf in the previous sessions. Please watch them. So here you can see that there are various islands you can see, and the Strait of Hormuz you can see, and you can see the Musandam Peninsula, and you can see that there are parts of both Oman as well as UAE. But if you look at the Oman part, this is actually what we call as an exclave. Okay, it's an exclave because it is a territory that is not directly connected to the main parts or mainland territory. Okay, so the main land of Oman is here and it's actually not connected with this part. That is why we call it as an exclave. But this is actually an Omani enclave that you can see within UAE. Now that is called an enclave because it is completely enclosed by the territory of another sovereign country, UAE. So those kind of territories that are not connected to the main territory but completely enclosed by other territories, other sovereign countries, we call them enclave. Those territories are not directly connected but not completely enclosed, we call them exclaves. Okay, so this is a exclave that you can see, which is the Musandam Peninsula. Okay, so the Musandam Peninsula, it's predominantly belongs to Oman as well as some parts to the UAE. And for Oman, in Oman, it's actually called Rus Al Jibal. Okay, Rus Al Jibal, and in Omani language, it actually means the capes of the mountains. Okay, capes of the mountains, and it is predominantly a very mountainous, arid region, and the predominant and the most visible part is actually the Hajar Mountain range. Hajar Mountain range. Okay, and the tallest most peak is actually what we call as Jebel Harim. So these facts are important for your prelims. Just know that the Hajar Mountain range is in the Musandam Peninsula, which is again a part of the Arabian Peninsula. Right. So remember Jebel Harim, Hajar range. Okay, and then please note that this mountainous region, this northernmost part that belongs to Iran, is actually also a designated important bird area. Okay, important bird area, which is an international accreditation given by BirdLife International. Right, so it's also an important bird area. Okay, Musandam Peninsula of Iran, which is also called Rus Al Jibal in Omani language. Okay, and then Shihu is actually a tribe that lives in this area. Remember them also. Shihu is a tribe. And if you look at UAE, certain parts of UAE, what we call as Ras Al Khaimah, as well as parts of Dibba, which is also a region in UAE, a province, that is also part of the Musandam Peninsula if you look at it geographically. Right. Okay, so that is the general features of Musandam Peninsula. Now you need to know about an erosional landform called Wadis. Okay, Wadis are actually very common in arid region, erosional. It's a erosional landform that is commonly seen in deserts. So basically it's just a dried up river valley. Okay, so whenever there is no water, okay, in most parts of the year there will be lack of water, and without water it will just see like a dried up river valley, which is what we call as Wadi. And when a flash flood happens or sometimes when rain comes, okay, then it will be filled with water and then you can see the water flowing. So if you trace the Wadis, you can see the alluvial fans and all over the sides, and then if you trace them, it will actually lead to a dried up lakes. Okay, dried lakes. Lake beds. Okay, whenever there's no water, you can see a lake bed. Then where water comes, you can see a lake there. That lake is what we call as Sabkhas. Okay, Sabkhas. Okay, Sabkhas or dry lakes. It's an erosional landform. So one of the predominant wadi in the Musandam Peninsula is what we call as Wadi Bih, which is actually the most central drainage that you can see in the basin that you can see in the Musandam Peninsula. Okay, so please note these kind of features, especially for your prelims. So once again, we saw the Musandam Peninsula, we saw that it was an exclave, we saw it is dominated by the Hajar mountain range as well as Jebel Harim, right, the mountain, the tallest most peak. The Shihu is a group of people that inhabit that region. We saw Wadi, we saw that UAE also has certain territory there, Ras Al Khaimah as well as Dibba. Okay, so please study this region thoroughly, especially for UPSC Prelims 2026. So that's all in this session. Thank you.